In a small rural town, David lives with his mean father, William. His mother left them when David was 5 years old. At school, David spends time with Millie, a girl he likes. Millie dreams of traveling around the world. David knows about her dream. One day, he gives Millie a snow globe with the Eiffel Tower in it. Millie loves the gift. However, Mark interrupts them and makes fun of David. Mark throws the snow globe into the middle of a frozen lake. David wants to get it back. He walks on the ice, but it is too thin. The ice breaks under his weight. The cold water pulls the boy down. He panics and suddenly vanishes from the lake. He reappears inside a library. David feels confused and afraid. He ignores the strange event and goes home. William starts yelling at David for being late. David hides in his bedroom and locks the door. William is angry and pushes on the door. Just as William breaks in, David vanishes. He appears at the library again. David realizes he has superpowers. He goes home to get his savings. Then he runs away to start a new life. He stops at Millie's house first. He leaves the snow globe there so she knows he is safe. David moves to the city and rents a cheap motel room. He starts testing his powers. He hits a tree the first few times. Eventually, he learns to jump by looking at photos of places. He visits the Empire State Building first. He has good memories of his mother, Mary, at that place. David visits a bank to see the inside. Later that evening, he teleports into the vault. He steals all the money. David celebrates in his room. The bank finds out about the robbery. Roland arrives at the bank pretending to work for the NSA. Roland has seen cases like this before. He knows jumpers exist. He is sure a jumper robbed the bank. 8 years pass, and David lives a great life. He has a fancy apartment in New York full of expensive things. He controls his powers well. He even teleports just to go to the kitchen. Pictures of landmarks cover his walls. These photos let him teleport anywhere in the world for the day. One evening, he goes to a pub in London. He teleports to the bar to meet a girl. A man named Griffin notices this careless act. David does not see Griffin. David leaves with the girl. Meanwhile, another jumper teleports into a jungle. He gets caught in a trap of electrical wires. The electricity stops him from teleporting. Roland and his men set the trap. They call themselves Paladins. They hunt jumpers because they hate them. Roland kills the boy immediately. Then he receives a phone call about a new lead. David goes back to his apartment. He finds Roland waiting there. Roland has the notes David left in bank vaults. David tries to make Roland leave. Roland hits him with a special baton. The baton shocks David with electricity. Now David can only teleport a few feet. They fight for a while. David teleports into a hidden room. He cuts the cable on the baton. Roland follows the cable and breaks the wall. David grabs some money. He teleports away. Roland does not give up. He looks at David's photos. He sends his men to the places in the pictures. He looks through David's things. He finds an old photo of Millie. Seconds later, David appears in his old bedroom. William hears a noise and runs to see his son. He says he feels crazy. He tells David he is always welcome. David tells William he is not crazy. Then David disappears again. The next morning, David thinks about visiting William. However, he cannot bring himself to speak to his father. He goes to Millie's house instead. Millie's mother is shocked that David is alive. She hugs him. She tells David that Millie works at a local bar. David goes to the bar. He sees Millie and feels scared to talk to her. David tries to leave secretly. He bumps into Mark. Mark recognizes him and asks questions. Millie hears Mark yelling. She tells David she saw him arrive. She was waiting for him to speak. Mark gets jealous. He tries to touch Millie. David punches him. A fight starts and moves outside. David pushes Mark through a fence. David teleports Mark away while no one looks. They appear inside the bank vault. David threatens Mark. David leaves Mark in the vault as punishment. David returns to the bar to talk to Millie. She gave up her travel dreams to work. David says he works in banking. He invites her to Rome. Millie accepts the invitation. Griffin is in the bar and hears this. Roland goes to the police station pretending to be CIA. The detective does not believe him, so Roland punches him. Roland questions Mark. He promises that he believes the story about teleportation. Mark is happy to find help. He tells Roland everything about David and Millie. Roland calls his men. He sends them to Italy. David and Millie arrive in Rome a few hours later. They check into a fancy hotel. Millie gets suspicious about David's job. He swears he is telling the truth. They stay in the room for a while. Then they leave to see Rome. Griffin watches them from a distance. David and Millie try to enter the Coliseum. It is closed for the day. Millie looks away. David teleports inside and opens a side door. He pretends the door was already open. They walk around and enjoy the views. David uses his powers whenever they find a locked door. David goes to the lower area. He finds Griffin peeing on a pillar. David tries to ignore him. Griffin teleports in front of David. He says there are jumpers all over the world. Griffin scolds David for bringing a normal person there. He says David's careless jumping attracted bad people. The Paladins enter the Coliseum. They start chasing David and Griffin. A baton shocks David, and he cannot move. Griffin knows how to fight these men. Griffin teleports away. He knocks out the enemies one by one. He tells David about the Paladins. Then Griffin disappears. An employee calls for help. David jumps into the jump scare Griffin left behind. This leads David to Griffin's hideout in the desert. Griffin is angry and reminds David about Millie. David jumps back to get Millie. The police are waiting outside. They arrest David and Millie. The police question David for 8 hours. They must wait for a U.S. magistrate to arrive before arresting him. The magistrate is David's mother, Mary. She unlocks David's handcuffs. She tells him to run before more paladins arrive. David chases her to ask questions. A cop blocks his path. David teleports the cop to Egypt. David goes back to the station. He tells Millie the police let them go. Millie does not believe it is that easy. David asks her to trust him. He takes her to the airport. Millie does not understand why they are running. She demands an explanation. David shows her the money in his bag. He does not explain anything else. He says they cannot be together. Millie feels betrayed. She flies home alone. Roland's team calls him. They say they were defeated. They think someone knew they were coming. Roland visits William. William pretends he has not seen David in 8 years. William says he will not tell the police if he sees David. Roland does not like this. David goes to Griffin's hideout. He learns that Griffin hunts and kills paladins. Paladins have hunted jumpers for centuries. They caused the witch trials and the Inquisition. Griffin says paladins attack the families of jumpers. This makes David worry. Millie is safe on her flight. David teleports to his old home. He finds William dead on the floor. David is very sad and not thinking clearly. He teleports William to the hospital. The doctors cannot save him. David goes to the police station in a rage. He threatens Mark. Mark admits he told Roland about Millie. David must find Roland before Millie lands. He goes to Griffin's hideout to steal research on the Paladins. Griffin stops him. He says Roland is too dangerous. David suggests they work together. Griffin refuses and says he works alone. Griffin teleports to Tokyo. David follows him to ask for help again. Griffin steals a car for fun. He brings David. He shows David how to teleport a car. David has never teleported something that big. Griffin says a man once tried to teleport a building and died. David asks many times. Griffin finally agrees to help. He says David must never contact him again afterwards. They teleport to the airport. It is too late. Millie has already landed and left. David goes to the bar to find her. A waitress says Roland was asking for Millie. David teleports to Millie's apartment. He is relieved that she is okay. Millie does not want to see him. David hears the Paladins coming. He confesses everything and teleports to get the snow globe to prove it. Millie is scared and tries to run. David grabs her. He takes her to Griffin's hideout. Griffin is angry. He knows the Paladins can follow jump scars with a machine. Roland and his men arrive at Millie's apartment. They do exactly what Griffin feared. The boys hide while the wormhole opens. David looks at Griffin's research. He finds out his mother is a paladin. Roland arrives. He captures David with electrical wires. Roland prepares to kill David. Griffin attacks Roland with a flamethrower. Griffin wants to stop Roland. He teleports a bus from the city and drops it on Roland. Roland is unhurt. Griffin pushes him into the wormhole with the flamethrower. Griffin follows him to Millie's apartment to fight. Millie cuts the wires and saves David. She makes him promise to leave her alone after he takes her home. David agrees. He tells her he has loved her since childhood. Griffin returns with the Paladin's machine. He thinks they are safe. Roland uses the jump scar to shoot a hook. He captures Millie and pulls her to the apartment. The scar closes. David wants to save Millie. Griffin prepares a bomb to kill the Paladins. Griffin does not care if Millie dies. David refuses to lose Millie. He grabs the bomb and drops it at the coliseum. Griffin follows him. They fight over the detonator while teleporting around the world. They arrive at the Empire State Building. David throws the detonator away. They jump after it. They jump many times. They land in a war zone in Chechnya. Griffin teleports a truck to hit David. Griffin ignores the war and grabs the detonator. David jumps on him. David pushes Griffin against an electric pylon to trap him. David teleports back to Millie's apartment. She is tied to the wall. He tries to save her. Roland attacks him with the baton and captures him. Roland prepares to kill David. Millie apologizes for doubting him. This helps David make his powers stronger. Suddenly, the whole room teleports to the Huron River. David feels dizzy underwater. Millie swims to him and helps him focus. He teleports them to the old library. Millie wakes David up. David sees that Roland is still there. He teleports Millie to safety. Then he grabs Roland. He takes Roland to a cave in the Grand Canyon. David tells Roland he is a good person. He says he could have left Roland with sharks, but he did not. Days later, David looks for his mother. He finds her house in a snowy area. Mary has a new life and a daughter. She admits she left because she knew about his powers. Mary will not quit her job as a paladin. She hugs him and says she loves him. She gives him a head start to run away. David accepts that his mother is the enemy. He leaves to meet Millie. They go to a warmer place together.
Please like and subscribe.